Some people still getting to their seats. That's okay. We've reached the 6 o'clock mark. I'll give it another little bit of time. All right. So I call this 2026 school district business meeting to order. I would like to recognize Girl Scout Troop 61416, which includes Sophia Waldron, Nora Winter, Georgia Trott, Olivia Jones, Shay Cook, Izzy DeVerger, led by troop leaders Sarah Winter and Trina DeVerger, to present the colors. Thank you. And I'd like to invite back Hannah McLeod. Hannah McLeod sang a rendition of the national anthem at the town meeting, so she is back tonight. So Hannah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Hannah. I also want to say thank you to Student Senate and John Cannon for offering babysitting tonight. That's huge. And I want to thank all of our assistant moderators, supervisors of the checklist. Thank you especially to Suzanne Griffin, Dan Bennett, Jim Hayden, Jessica Bennett, Peter Imsey, Susan Larrabee, Joe Conti, Jack Reardon, Pat Hayden, and Jared Bland. Now, before we go through introductions, I do want to invite Martin Osterloh up to just say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I'm sure everyone is eager to get the show on the road here, but before we move on tonight, I want to take a moment and recognize take a moment to recognize someone whose impact on our district and our community is really hard to overstate. After 9 years of service on the school board, Bryce Larrabee has decided not to seek another term. Now, 9 years may sound just like a number to many of you, but anyone who has served in local government knows what it really represents. It means hundreds of late nights reading budgets and policies and countless of meetings, difficult decisions, thoughtful debate, and always keeping in mind the interests of our students, staff, and all of you, our taxpayers. During his time on the board, Bryce served multiple years as our board chair. He served on our policy committee for many years as a delegate to our town CIP committee, on the athletic fields and funding committee, and many, many more. As chair, he brought a steady hand, thoughtful leadership, and a calm voice when the work was not always easy. Those of us who had the privilege to serve alongside know how much effort and care he put into doing the job the right way. Speaking personally, when I stepped into the role as chair last year, Bryce was someone that I looked to for guidance. His example, how he listened, how he led, and how he stayed focused on what mattered most, was something I tried to learn and continue to try to learn. But what really stands out about Bryce, in my opinion, is that his commitment to this town does not start or stop with the school board. He seems to show up everywhere. Be it the Bow Athletic Club, the Boosters, or town events such as the Backtoberfest, he's always there, quietly volunteering his time and energy to make Bow a better place. That spirit of volunteerism is really the backbone of towns like ours, and Bryce embodies it as well as anyone. Although he's stepping away from the board, we're fortunate that he will continue serving our district in his role as school moderator. So while his seat at the board table will be empty, his presence and leadership will certainly continue. So on behalf of the school board, the district, and the community we serve, I want to say thank you, Bryce. Thank you for the time, the energy, the leadership, and the example you've set for all of us. And I would ask you to please join me in thanking him for 9 years of service to our school.
Thank you, Martin. All right, now for our introductions. So at the head table here, we have Martin Osterloh, chair, Bryce Larrabee, vice chair. We have Jenna Reardon. We have Angela Hubbard. We have Melanie Klunk. Then for student representatives, we have Ava Populares, Matthew Mampura. Then we have our superintendent, Marcy Kelly, and our assistant superintendent, Dwayne Ford. We also, in the wings, have Owen Harrington, our director of curriculum and instruction, and Jess Brown, our director of student services. We are supported here by our school district legal counsel, and then John Rich, who is our school district clerk. And then a big thank you to Connor, the Wizard of Oz. That can't dim the light, that's fine, it's fine. Couple things, I just wanted to remind everybody of our exits. Safety first. I always feel like we're getting on a plane, we have to go through this. We have 2 exits down here either side, 2 exits at the top. Seatbelts are fastened. We're good to go. and then we're going to really get going. A couple of reminders before we get to Article 1. We went over the rules at the town meeting. Some of you were here, some of you were not here. My job is to facilitate the conversation, literally moderating this. So I will only recognize voters at the microphone. You please need to make sure to state your name and your address. We already have a voter here. We will present the article, we will go through questioning, and then we will vote on the article. All right? Yes, sir.
Van Motion, 99 Allen Road. I got a comment or a question from people in the audience from the other night, is that could we possibly turn up the speakers just a little bit louder? They had difficulties hearing it last night. And the other one, we're talking about rules right now, is the enforcement of rule number 15. Of course, the person at the microphone or the person at the head table, if they're asked a question, they should be able to respond to it. But what confused the couple was that if somebody made a comment, say, I supported this article, there was immediately feedback, like a rebuttal saying it. So if we can enforce the one speaker and wait until everybody is done before they speak again, that would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Connor, we got the volume all set?
Yeah, I turned it up.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. It's good to have you around. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these meetings, and I just want to say this before we get started. These meetings are really special. We have to remember that these meetings predate our country. And I know I said this last year too, but our country was founded on the principles of these meetings to have civil discourse. And we need to remember that. My job is to facilitate that civil discourse. We're not all going to agree, and that's okay. But we need to have these conversations, and we need to be able to have them in a meaningful way. So, let's get started. Do I have a motion for Article 1? So moved. Do I have a second? Second. All right. Move to Article 1.
Does he just want me to start?
Marcy will present Article 1.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, members of the Bow School Board, and to the community members of Bow. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Again, my name is Marcy Kelly, and it's my privilege to be your superintendent of schools. What I'd like to begin with is something that always stands out to me. And though I do not live in this community, I know for certain that the residents of Bow care deeply about their community, their school, and the students who learn here. Every community should be so fortunate. I'm happy to share with you this year we're having a fantastic year. When you walk through the schools, you can feel it. Students are engaged and they're curious and growing, both in and out of the classroom. We're seeing strong academic growth, but just as importantly, we're seeing students develop confidence, kindness, and a love of learning. And none of that happens by accident. We are so fortunate to have an unbelievably dedicated staff and a community filled with such wonderful people that support our students and staff in so many ways. It's an entire village that creates an environment where students know that they're in a really special place. But this year, a major focus of my work, Connor, if you can go to the next slide. A major focus of my work has been on strategic planning. It's been quite some time since there's been a strategic plan in place, and so the timing really felt right this year. Simply, strategic planning is about taking a look at where we are and looking ahead and asking some important questions. Where do we want our schools to be in the next 5 years? What do we want our students, families, and community members to experience when they walk through our doors? And what steps do we need to take to make sure that we get there? It's essentially a roadmap for our future. It'll preserve what is already going well while also planning thoughtfully for the opportunities and challenges ahead. The plan will have articulated, measurable goals and serve as our guiding principles for the next 5 years. But a strong strategic plan can't be created by the school district alone. It has to be shaped by the community it serves. That's why we're asking for feedback. You see this QR code here, not just from parents and families with children in school, but from the broader Bow community as well. You can see the members of the Strategic Planning Committee in front of you on the screen, and that Bow is very well represented in the process, including parents, staff members, and community members. Your voices are incredibly important in helping us understand what this community values most in its school system. In addition to this strategic planning survey, we'd like you to complete, we'll also be hosting a community focus group session on March 24th at 6 p.m. Right here at BHS. I hope you'll consider joining us for that conversation. Your perspective helps us ensure that our schools continue to reflect the priorities of this community. Before I wrap up, I want to share a little something that I think is special. Each month at school board meetings, we try to bring students and staff in front of our school board or share something special that's happening in our schools as a reminder of why we're doing what we're doing. Sometimes it's easy to get bogged down in policy or budget and business. I believe it serves as an important reminder of why we're here. So what better way to highlight what education means in Bow than to ask those who've been in our school the longest, our seniors. I'm going to show a video featuring some of Bow's graduating seniors. They're reflecting on their time growing up here and sharing their gratitude for the community that helped shape them. Although not shown in this video, there is another graduating senior who filmed and edited this video and put up with me along the way. He's a very talented young man, and I'd like to thank Ben Watford for pulling this together. I can tell you firsthand, these soon-to-be graduates are exceptional young people, and they're a wonderful reflection of the values of this community and the foundation that began at 20 Bow Center Road. Thank you for your continued support of our schools, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
My name is Miles Miller, and I'm a senior at Bow High School. I've been in the Bow school system since kindergarten.
My name is Will Helbushies. I am a senior at Bow High School, and I have been going to Bow for 13 years. I've been here since kindergarten. I've lived in Bow my whole life.
My name is Casey Totten. I'm a senior, and I've been in the Bow School District since I've been in preschool.
I'm Joseph York. I'm a senior in the Bow School System, and I've been in the Bow School System since first grade.
My name is Julia Ho. I'm a senior, and I've been at Bow my entire life.
I'm going to Endicott. I'm studying exercise science, and I'm playing baseball.
I'm Sabine Caranu. I am in 12th grade. I'm a senior, and I've been in the Bow School System since first grade.
I'm going to attend St. Michael's in Vermont and study pre-law and maybe business.
I'm Peyton Larrabee. I'm a senior at Bow High School, and I've been going here for 13 years since kindergarten.
I attend a four-year university, although I'm not sure which one yet. I'm still waiting to hear back from a lot of the schools I applied to.
I'm planning on majoring in neuroscience and chemistry on a pre-med track.
I plan to major in chemistry on a pre-medical track, maybe with a minor in Chinese.
I'm going to Boston University, and I'm studying cellular and molecular biology and genetics.
Next year, I plan on attending the Fire Academy, New Hampshire Fire Academy, in the fall.
My earliest memory at BES is probably, I want to say, our gingerbread hunt in kindergarten. I remember my mom surprising me and walking through the door while we were looking for the gingerbread. That was honestly really fun. Just some memories in middle school. I mean, my dad was my assistant principal, so just driving to school with him, that was great.
I remember the first time I read the Percy Jackson books, and I remember loving it, and I finished the whole book series, and then I read like the next book series and everything. I remember my love for learning kind of and reading and stuff like that kind of emerged in elementary school, which I thought was really cool.
It used to be this tradition, I don't know if they still do it, but on one of the last days of the school year, all the fourth graders we'd have this assembly, and the teachers would make a tunnel, and the fourth graders at the end of the assembly would run through the tunnel, high-five all the teachers, they were getting sent off to the middle school. And I remember as a first grader just thinking that moment was so far away, and now here I am graduating high school, so that's it's kind of surreal.
EHS, there's a lot of opportunities of like career exploration.
There's so many electives that you could choose from. To this day, I want to choose so many more that I haven't, and I really want other people to take those opportunities. It's just, they offer so many classes and the teachers are all great, and the teachers really like what they're teaching.
I think that my biggest opportunity presented to me was my senior project. It gave me a space to work with dementia and Alzheimer's patients, which was amazing. I was able to visit hospice houses, homebound patients, and work with them.
Just thankful for like the community and everybody that's helped me, especially, but like everybody along my journey at least.
What I'm most thankful for is definitely teachers, and my friends are definitely like what have helped me grow and love to learn, because if not for others sort of like pushing me to be who I wanted to be and like pushing me to my true potential, I never would have been able to like reach where I am now. I never would have been as happy as I am at this school.
I'm really grateful for my teachers for teaching me, but they go so like above and beyond. I mean, in French, we're like doing culture points where like we get to learn more than just the language. My friend brought in French onion soup and we got to try it today. My chemistry teachers always support me in like the stuff I want to do, like whether it's trying a new experiment or like learning a new technique.
I appreciate all the people that aren't directly looked at, maybe your custodians or like some of your JV coaches or like people in like the school board that aren't like the face of it but also hold a huge part. I feel like those people really are beneficial.
Thank you for supporting me with the things that I want to do, and I think they really prepared me well.
Thankful for like the community and everybody that's helped me, especially, but like everybody along my journey at least.
Thank you for providing me with all these opportunities. Each year that I return for a new school year, I notice something in my school that's improved. All that you've done, I really thank you for it.
Thank you for paying taxes so that we can have the school. But also just thank you for always being accepting of the school and always like pushing forwards and like giving all that you have so that we can learn better and we can have a better education.
I think the most important thing in the community is the people within it. I mean, I'm so thankful for the opportunities that I've had here, and it's the opportunities that I've had here that are going to allow me to be successful in the next stages of life.
Thank you for allowing me to feel included in this community. Sometimes it can be hard when your family's not from here. So I think being included really helped me as a person, and our community is just so tight-knit. It made me feel welcome. So I'm really grateful for that.
So did we say that Ben made that? Ben made the video? Because I think he's...
Ben Watford, are you still here? There he is.
Let's give it up for Ben for making that video. That was awesome. And everybody that was in it. Very cool. All right. So how about we jump into this, get into Article 2. We ready? Do we have a motion for Article 2?
I'll make a motion to move the article as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Martin will present Article 2.
All right, Article 2. Next, I'm not going to read this article. It's going to come up again, don't worry. Next slide, please. Before we dive into this year's budget, I want to take 2 slides and 2 minutes to frame the discussion. So what you see here, the blue curve is what the average student cost per pupil is in Bow versus the red line that is across the state of New Hampshire. At the moment, the average cost per pupil is just over $18,800 for Bow and $22,700 across the state, which means we're almost $4,000 cheaper than the state of New Hampshire. I think that's important to point out. And the other thing I want to point out is that if you look on the right side of this curve, the last 4 or 5 years, you see that the incline of the red curve is much steeper than the incline of the blue curve, which is Bow. That's a testament to the hard work that this board, as well as the budget committee, puts in every year to make sure that we satisfy both ends of the spectrum, not just what the school needs, but also a tenable budget for everyone here. Next slide, please. I want to also give a little bit more detail on each building. Now, the cost per pupil, I want to point out, is not something that we calculate. That's something done by the Department of Education in New Hampshire to offer a true comparison cost to cost. Compare apples to apples. It's not just your general budget divided by the number of students. That's not how that works. There's lots of things that go into a budget, revenues, grants, you name it. So the DOE calculates this for us. For the elementary school, we are the third cheapest elementary school out of 155 elementary schools in this entire state. Just over $18,000. Compare this with $23,500 statewide. Our memorial school is the sixth cheapest middle school out of 63. Again, just over $18,000 per student. Compare this to over $21,000 across the state. And our high school is 13th lowest out of 73 districts with just over $20,000. Compare this to over $22,000 for the entire state of New Hampshire. So I think it helps to frame this budget, and I wanted to give you guys these numbers ahead of time, so keep those in mind as we go through the budget. Next slide. Okay, budget proposal. Well, the budget that we're voting on tonight is an agreed upon budget by the school board as well as the budget committee of the town. Both boards unanimously voted in support, which gives you, the voter, increased confidence that it, again, satisfies both ends of the spectrum. It's a budget that supports our schools, that makes Marcy's job easier to run schools, but it also keeps the tax rate in mind. Next slide. This year, I've decided to add this slide here because I don't know, many of you probably know how we get to the budget that's before you, but I figured I'll show you this slide. The way we derive a budget isn't just willy-nilly. It starts all with Marcy in the fall. She taps into all her administrators, building principals, athletics, student services, and comes up with a budget that she thinks she will need next year to support our schools. Right around Thanksgiving, she gives that to the school board, and over the month of December, the five of us review item by item by item, make necessary cuts and adjustments that we see fit. And then right around the new year, we pass it on to the town budget committee. And over the month of January into February, again, we go line by line by line, make necessary cuts and adjustments to come up with a budget that everybody can agree upon. Next slide. So what does that mean for this year? The total proposed budget is just over, I can't read that number over there, I'll get out. Over $39.3 million. Compare this to last year's budget of $37.1 million, which represents an increase of the general fund of about $2.2 million. You see these other two numbers, food services and federal grants. The food services budget is up slightly to just over $1 million, which is an increase of $57,000, and also federal grants, which is up $450,000. Two things I want to note, that while these two lines show up in the budget as an expenditure, there is an equal amount on the revenue side for the food service as well as the federal grants. So there is no tax impact. While we have to appropriate the money, we will also get revenues in the equal amount. So I know this seems confusing, but by law we have to appropriate these two lines. But the food services and the federal grants does not have a single impact on your tax rate. On the percentage side, the general fund is up by just under 6%, as well as the food services department. Next slide. Now, what drives this year's budget increases? Well, out of the gate, the district was hit with about 20% increase of health insurance, or just under $1 million. So out of those $2.2 million of an increase of budget, almost $1 million is just healthcare increase. The second biggest driver are the wages. We are in year 2 of the negotiated contract with BEA and BESS. That was approved last year at last year's annual meeting. So this year, that's year 2, we're seeing an increase of $816,000, or a 4% increase. And the other two drivers are special education contracted services that we anticipate are increasing by $135,000, as well as our CRTC students, the tuition that we pay to Concord for our high school students to go to CRTC. We expect that to increase by just over $76,000. Next slide. Let's talk about revenues. This year, we estimate our revenue to be $7.3 million. Compare that to last year's revenue of $7.1 million, which is an increase in revenue of $163,000, which is good. This does obviously not include any of the capital reserve fund articles that we will be voting on later. Next slide. Digging a little into the revenues, adequacy aid, which is what we receive from the state of New Hampshire. We estimate the adequate education grant this year to be just under $5.3 million, which is an increase of $643,000. The statewide education property tax, SWEPT, we see a decrease, or we anticipate a decrease of $187,000 to just over $2 million. So what that means for you is when you get your property tax bill, you see your SWEPT tax rate, it'll go down by 10 cents per $1,000 assessed. Next slide. Okay, there are a lot of numbers and boxes here, so I'll walk you through what that means for you. As I've shown you, the increased operating budget is $2.747 billion. That is the increase of the general fund, plus the food service increase, plus the federal grant. So that increase is $2.74 million. We have an increase of local revenues, so we subtract $163,000 from that. We have an increase adequacy grant of $643,000. We can subtract that too, which leaves us with a net increase of local taxes to be raised of just over $2 million, or $1.04 per $1,000 assessed. Now we take that into account with a 10 cents decrease of your SWEPT tax rate. That leaves you, for the average $500,000 home in Bow, with an increase of $467 next year. Next slide. I know that was a lot of numbers, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Martin. So now is the time where I will recognize questions for Article 2 to raise the $40,850,771 for the support of schools. Yes, and I have a voter right here.
Hi, excuse me, Penny Conway, 12-Foot Road. I'd actually like to move to amend the article by reducing it by $500,000. And I'm sorry I had the previous numbers for that. Martin, we talked on Facebook today. I had the previous numbers in the 40,000, but I'd like to make the motion to reduce the budget proposal by 500,000.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. So now it is an amendment to reduce the budget by $500,000. We will now speak on that amendment. So that's where we are. So questions about the proposed amendment of a reduction of $500,000, which would be, somebody do the math.
Thank you for doing that on the fly.
Tell me if I'm wrong. You're going to, I know you are. $40,350,771. Did I do that right? Somebody check my math.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah? Okay, thank God. Thank you.
All right.
So the proposed amendment is a budget of now $40 million, thank you. $40,350,771.
We all clearly didn't go to the Bow school system.
It's fine, it's fine. Math is not my forte. Thank you. So I will open questioning to that proposed amendment.
Courtney Beach for Pinecrest Drive. I just want to come up and just strongly voice my worry of decreasing by such a large amount. I recognize that we have a large budget here, but I'm someone that works in education, and I'm recognizing that I don't know if you can go back to the previous slide, the one that talked about the percentages, not that one, the one before it. right there. Yeah, that one. So I just want to point out that while I recognize that the largest piece of our taxes come from the school district budget, I do recognize the hard work that our administrators and our school board and our teachers have put in drafting a budget that meets the needs of our students and prepares our town for things that could come up. When you look at the local news lately, you can see that these school districts are struggling, and things like health insurance are impacting everywhere. But there are also many things that school districts can't necessarily anticipate for, that come up year to year, and that are required by law for us to pay. So when we look at health insurance, right, like we're in a risk pool, and that is a big number, but that's something that across the state, school districts everywhere are facing. That's not necessarily something that we can change. It's something that I know our district continues to look at, but I don't believe that, I don't think we have school care, do we? Because I know that's been one that's been really challenging, and a lot of districts are facing big problems because of that. So while this is a big increase, it's also something that is kind of unavoidable. The big thing that I want to point out is the special education contracted services at $135,000, right? So if we're proposing a decrease of $500,000, this is something that legally we are required to provide to students. So when we have students that move into our district and they have special education needs, we are required by law to meet those special education needs that are outlined in an IEP. That's not something that we can change. When we look at contracted services, $135,000, I need to point out that working in a neighboring district, when we have students that come in and require transportation because they're homeless or because they're in foster care or because they require transportation to a special ed school, the cost of that is something that we are required to do, we can't avoid, and it's something that is extremely expensive. I had one student last year that cost $101,000 to transport. So these are things that we don't have a choice about. They're things that I know are being very thoughtfully considered at the highest levels, and there's something that we need to prepare for. So when we're making an arbitrary cut of something like $500,000, because that sounds like a good number, we're not thinking about the students or the staff or the programs that those are impacting. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a voter at this microphone.
Yes, Van Mosier, 99 Allen Road. That was well said. Please keep this slide because it's fantastic right here. At the budget hearing way back in the beginning of February, there was a challenge to take a closer look at the health insurance, and Martin said he might have something. No?
I think it's a complex issue. I think we've looked at and made changes. I've been here a long time now. Let me start with that. Since 2005, when I started here, we had old traditional indemnity health insurance plans, which were basically you kind of could do whatever you wanted. We've made multiple changes to the plans. There's a member of the budget committee that is way more versed in insurance than I am. I've leaned on him. We've put our claims data, roster, and everything out to 3 different insurance providers to look at different ways that we could potentially do health insurance and still be within the confines of the 2 negotiated agreements that we have that specify a specific plan, a specific provider, but we can make changes if the coverage is equivalent. So I think we've looked at that. I've had 1 meeting with folks already and have 2 coming up to see what the results are of that. I think it was too late when we kind of went through the budget process to kind of institute some kind of change for July 1, but I absolutely 100% agree that the course that public entities are on is an unsustainable course. And I think something has to change. I don't know what that answer is yet, but I think the throwing your hands up and saying, well, we got a 16% increase this year and it was 11 last year and who knows what it's going to be next year, but it's probably going to be double digits, is not something that we can continue to do. When I start the budget process, the principals started in, September, October. I kind of started in August because I have to do a lot of background work. When I got the health insurance rate change for us and plugged that into our budget and made no other changes, didn't have any initiatives from the principals, no staffing changes, didn't put $1 of wages in for the collective bargaining agreements or any non-union staff, the increase was $770,000. To me, that's a very bad place to start from.
Yeah.
And I think it's imperative for me in the job that I do to do something and at least look at if there's alternatives. And we're doing that. I don't have a good answer on what that's going to look like. It may need to be in conjunction with negotiations with our unions, which delays it. But, I think our staff also recognizes that, that's a tough place to start a budget from.
Well, Dwayne, I know you, and you're going to stick to it, so I appreciate that response right there, and, continue to do your best. If you could switch to the slide real quickly with the two curves overlay, if I have enough time left. Could you tell me, what's the date on that, 2013, 2014, or 2000, what?
Dunbarton.
Yep. Dunbarton?
Dunbarton.
That's great news, because in 2003, I proposed that we match up with Dunbarton. It wasn't popular at the time, but I'm glad it worked. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a voter at this microphone.
Yeah, I guess I just want to talk a little bit. There's been a lot of
Make
talk
sure to
on...
state your name.
Oh,
and
yeah,
address,
David
sorry.
Farr, 12 Heidi Lane. I guess I just want to be transparent. I know there's been a lot of talk online about cutting the budget and, maybe we could cut, wild, life habitat or, cut these things. But what realistically would happen tomorrow morning if we cut $500,000? Would we as a town decide like, well, let's maybe shovel a little bit less or not grease the wheels as much?
I'm going to take a stab at answering that. A cut of $500,000 would necessarily mean a cut of staff. There is no way to cut $500,000 in this budget without reducing a position.
Okay. And so at the end of the day, I just want to be really clear that I think it feels good to put your finger in the air and say, let's cut $1 million, let's cut $500,000, heck, let's cut $100,000. But I think we need to be realistic that what you're asking is to cut staff from the school, cut support for our kids, and dismantle the work of hundreds of hours that people put into this. And I think it's a mistake. I know it's expensive. I have a nice house in Bow. It costs me a lot of money to live here, and I wish that we could do better. I think these are conversations we have to start next month as a community and meet every month and figure out how to do it. Trying to change the budget the day of school board meeting, I think it's a big mistake.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everybody, we're still on conversation about the amendment, the $500,000 reduction of the overall budget. And recognize a voter at this microphone.
Judson Malone, 7 Audley Divide. I was wondering, it's related, it's interrelated to the amendment, but also what was presented in the article. There was something on the screen about 38 million in introducing Article 2. Article 2 is for 40 million, is it not? Roughly.
Yeah, it's the general fund plus food services plus federal grants.
Okay. And so the recommendation of reducing $500,000 out of it would cut that bottom line out off the 38 million.
Yeah, but we need to appropriate the food service department, the $1 million, so we can receive it as a revenue. It's the same for federal grants. We need to appropriate it in order to receive it as a revenue. So if you're asking to cut $500,000, it can only come from the general fund of that portion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to recognize the gentleman at this microphone, and then absolutely. Yes.
Bob Arnold, Dow Road. And I just want to say that 12 years ago, I did 2 terms on the Budget Committee, and I've since done another 6 years on as a library trustee. And I see how our elected officials crunch these numbers, and it's a lot of work. I brought the annual report home, and my wife opened it up, and she goes, "What are all these pages with all these numbers?" And I go, "Well, if you're on the Budget Committee or on the school board, you're going through every single one of those line items to see what we can do. And we're looking at past years and future years, and just to say we're going to take $500,000 off a budget is ridiculous." Then that's just my opinion.
All right, Bryce.
I just want to say, so in the process that we do, which Martin touched on, the school, presents the school board with a budget. Generally in December, we have a number of meetings where we sit down and go through it, and then we agree on a budget, and then, tentative budget. And then after that, it goes to the budget committee. The budget committee kind of pokes and prods at it. And then we have what seems like a number of kind of emergency meetings on the board where we talk about what the budget committee said and what they did and whether they think we can cut more here or do more there. And this is the leanest budget we've ever had, not with 500,000. In my experience, this is the tightest budget we've had. And I specifically remember saying to the superintendent at the last meeting on that, hand and fire, if we do this budget that we're proposing, we are not going to make this school better. We are maintaining the quality of education that we have here. Anything less than this, and our kids are going to get a worse education here. And her answer was yes. So this was the number. Frankly, it's disappointing that this is the number we have to bring because we are not improving the facility with this number because it's tight times and we're doing the best we can. That's all.
I would like to recognize, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Robert Lou, Three Wheeler Road. I do want to caution people, any cuts that are made or reductions in the budget are at the discretion of the board. So while we may want certain things removed, it is at the discretion of the board. But what I'm interested in, and Nick, I don't know if I can, how to ask this, but I'm curious how we came to that number of 500,000. How did we get there? What does that entail? What were we thinking?
Yeah, whoever proposed the amendment, I would welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. So not arbitrary, really. I did put some thought into this. Looking at the numbers that you proposed, as you mentioned, I'm really so glad you went over it. We're in the second year of our collective bargaining agreement. The salaries for both teachers and staff under that contract, those salaries were projected to be reduced $500,000 from what they were in year one. So when you look at the line items for the new budget, I know you look a little confused, but I pulled it right from S8 and S9 that have year one budget line items on them. So when you look at that, that's a cost savings in salaries that we had in year two of that contract. And all we sort of see is, and I 100% agree, special ed services, transport services, super important, and I know it is at the discretion of our board what that $500,000 cut would entail, and I would really hope they wouldn't cut staff. But my thought in this is if we saved in salaries $500,000 from year one to year two, and we have such a large health insurance bill for our teachers, and we have some other really mandatory costs that we need to bake in, where is there opportunity to remove programs or maybe spending that was in place well before these new things were added? So I know the board's talked about technology refresh cycles. I believe we currently are still on a 4-year, 25% refresh cycle. The board's talked about moving to a 5-year or an as-needed basis, which I used to work for the provider of our laptops, so I know that that's a significant cost savings. There's also some discretionary budget line items and contingency funds for the executive staff, for the board, for the superintendent, all areas that I think we might be able to reduce waste and still get those things that are on that board. And again, I would really hope the board, if there was a vote to move this amendment forward, wouldn't automatically choose to reduce staff, but maybe look at where can we cut some of that extra spending that's happening, supplies, other services, other contracted services. If we're looking at professional development, are there other vendors? Are there other things out there that might be available to us? So just thinking about, we have a very large budget. Is there anything that's, so also, sorry, I'm running out of time. This is a 1.22% reduction in the entire budget, which is about $150 for the average homeowner taxpayer in Bow, which could be the difference between paying a medical bill or paying for groceries or maybe paying for both. So it seems arbitrary, but I think there's some real life application and potentially some fluff in the budget that we could remove if we look at programs.
Thank you. And before we move to this microphone, I am going to let Melanie respond, and then we'll move to that microphone.
So first, I'd like to say that I, too, am an educator. I have worked at districts where I actually used my own salary to buy my whiteboard markers, to buy my paper. This weekend, I'm going to buy pens for my class, where some kids who might not be able to afford it, that's what teachers do. I understand that when you say cut supplies, I understand, but you don't understand what that actually comes with. But no, I'm going to finish. I just wanted to say that every year we come to you with a budget, and we have worked hard, and you have all the right in the world to ask all the questions you want. But every year we also, at the end of the year, give money back. We don't use every dollar. We actually give money back that goes back to you. We don't try and say, oh, we got all this money, we still have money at the end of the year, we're gonna buy this, we're gonna buy that. We don't. We give it back to help your taxes. We don't try to use any more than we really need. Thank you.
Voter at this microphone,
Hi,
please.
Courtney Beach, 4 Pinecrest Drive. I was just trying to figure out, because the previous speaker talked about S8 and S9 as like where they were looking for that $500,000 to come from. And so looking at Article 3, it talks about the estimated increase for the collective bargaining agreement. And so when Martin was talking, he was saying that like when we look at this, we recognize that it has to come, it can't come from the food service and it can't come from the federal grants, right? So it has to come from that $40,850,000 or whatever it is. My eyes can barely see that. But looking at this, you were saying that it needed to come, it would come from there, right? And so it would result in a cut of a position or two, or, you know, and so I guess looking at S8, and S9, it's not that we're decreasing the cost of salaries by $200,000. I just want to clarify that the cost of the increase, right? So when we're looking at our collective bargaining agreement, and tell me if I'm wrong, Marcy or Dwayne, we're trying to stay competitive with local towns so that we can retain quality teachers, right? We want to have highly qualified educators working in our town. We want them to have master's degree if possible. And we want to hire new, fresh out of college educators as well. So that kind of looks at what they're getting on the pay scale. And so for 24-25, that estimated increase is trying to keep us competitive with surrounding towns. And so that might be a percentage increase. I don't know what percentage it is, but say it's 2%, right? The next year might be 1% or 1.5. Is that what not the percentage, but like, is that what it's doing, right?
Yes, you're absolutely on the right track. I think what you touched on was that the increase this year may not have been as much as last year, but it's still more than last year. So there is not a savings there. I'll leave that there and then respond to another piece.
And then my other question is, in coming up with the collective bargaining agreements, are neighboring towns' pay scales considered? For instance, I know Concord gets paid a lot more than our Bow teachers. They're paid highly in the city, right? I'm sure you've looked at Hopkinton and places like that to make sure we're competitive.
Yes, all surrounding schools.
Okay. So had another point, but I forgot it. So that means that, that is the increase, right? So when we're looking at that, it's not that we're decreasing, the percentage of it within the collective bargaining agreement has changed.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And voter at this mic.
Hi, Daniel Perenas, 5 Sullivan. I'm wondering, what are our enrollments? I remember seeing a time ago, at least for Bow High School, a trend line maybe going back to 2000. I'd be interested to see what are our enrollments across all 3 schools.
So
Going back to 2000 would be great.
Across the district, the enrollment is fairly flat. At BES, we see an increase of enrollment over the last few years, indicating that a lot of families move to town when their kids are little. You've heard it in the video. Many of the kids have gone here since kindergarten. So you see that a lot of families move in when kids are really little. So we're seeing an increase in enrollment at BES. But the other 2 schools are fairly flat.
This could have only been for Bow High School, but I recall seeing some sort of trend line that showed pretty substantial fluctuation. And maybe do we know what our capacity is currently? Are we like 40%, 60%, 90%?
So the high school enrollment right now, and we use October 1 as the official enrollment date, and that's what we use for budgeting. The October 1, 25 enrollment was 639 in this building. This building has a functional capacity of 725, and that was the design capacity. I don't exactly know what the question was, but in 2013, so when we were debating the Dunbarton area agreement, the enrollment in this building was 486. And the trend at that time was it was probably going to go down a little bit more, and it was going to settle in the 400s somewhere. And that was why we were able to negotiate at that time, because we had capacity. In 2003, Dunbarton put a request out to neighboring communities, and at that time, everybody seemed to be full. In 2013, things were different here in Bow, and we were able to negotiate that and bring the capacity up. I think an optimal size for a high school is that 600 to 700. I think you can offer a robust program, but our administration still kind of knows every single kid. You start getting really small and you can't offer the program, you get more bigger than that, and you start to lose that individuality that kids will have. So I think we're in a really good spot right now at this building.
And what's the capacity for the middle school and elementary?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the middle school's capacity, we've always been pretty tight over there. We're at 507 is our enrollment right now. We've been bigger over there in the past, but we've also had to have things like specials, don't have classrooms at that point. I don't have an exact number of the functional capacity of that building, but it's probably 550-ish. The elementary school's capacity with the addition and renovation that we just did is now very well sized for what we have. Right now, our official enrollment over there is 557. I'd say the capacity in that building is about 600.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everybody, we are on the amendment to decrease the 500,000. Voter over here.
Hi, Ian Flanagan, 6 Fieldstone Drive. I appreciate the spirited debate and back and forth, but I'd like to call the question.
So I have a motion on the floor to call a question. Do I have a second? Second. Okay. So now is the time where we will vote on the amendment.
Is it possible for me to make a comment? I'm on the budget committee. I just wanted to address my side of it from the budget side.
We just
don't have to?
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So the the amendment is to reduce the budget by $500,000 to a total of $40,350,771. So we will take the vote now. All those in favor, raise your voting card. All those opposed? All right, this amendment does not pass. So now we are going to go back to the original article to see if we will appropriate $40,850,771. Do we have questions for this? Seeing no voters approaching the microphone, we will take a vote. All those in favor of this article, Article 2? All those opposed? The ayes have it. This article passes.
Mr. Moderator, if I might?
Yes.
Over here. Harry Judd, 25 Stack Drive. I move to restrict reconsideration.
There is a motion to restrict. Second. All right. We will vote now to restrict reconsideration. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We will now move to Article 3. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $94,422 to be added to the area school capital improvements. Do I have a motion for Article 3?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Bryce will present Article 3.
This is the easiest article of the night. Basically, if I cut to the chase, Dunbarton gives us $94,000. If we don't accept it, they get to keep it. That's the bottom line. But there's an interplay between Article 3 and Article 4, so it's going to take me a little bit more time to explain it, but that's ultimately what we're going to do. I don't know what, if anybody votes against that, I don't know why in the world they would. Maybe they live in Dunbarton, they just happen to be here. Anyway, next slide, please. So we've talked a little bit about Dunbarton tonight. And so when Dunbarton came into the Bow School District, now SAU 67, we have basically a fee that they have, that it gets charged to them. It was $347 per student in the old agreement. That lasted for 10 years. And then in 2024, we negotiated a new agreement, and we were able to get them to now pay $854 per student. And so the point of that, that's not just the money, you know, they pay other money as well, but that money is basically sort of like for the wear and tear of the school by having their kids in the school. That's essentially kind of why that money came about. So half of that money is restricted, and we have to put it in a reserve fund, and the reserve fund has a bunch of restrictions. One of the slides says it, but basically it's something along the lines of like, any project has to be over $500,000. It has to have like a lifespan of 10 or 20 years, and under those circumstances, we can use that money. And so the way the money works is it's based on the percentage of kids in the school district. So right now I think they have about 26% of the schools, of the children. And so, yeah, there's an example on that slide on the bottom. So if we had a project that was like $550,000 there, they would contribute $143,000 of it from this restricted fund. The restricted fund has never been used in all this time, but tonight we're going to change that, hopefully. But the restricted fund balance is $520,000. And so because Dunbarton only attends our high school and our middle school, their students, the projects have to be associated with the middle school or high school. So this article is basically just accepting the money from them, $94,000 that we have to put into that fund, which can only be used for those things. And if we do not do that, Dunbarton gets to keep the money.
All right, thank you. So Article 3, I will now open to questions. Seeing nobody approaching the microphone, we'll take a vote on Article 3. All those in favor of Article 3? And all those opposed? Article 3 passes. Moving to Article 4. Do I have a motion for Article 4?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. This is to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $133,250 to be used for purchase and installation of bleachers. And Bryce will be presenting this.
So I mentioned the restricted funds. Now we're going to talk about the unrestricted funds. So when we renegotiated that agreement with Dunbarton, we doubled the amount that we essentially charged their students to come into that fund. What we negotiated with them was that half of it we could do whatever we wanted with, and half had to go in the funds we just talked about in Article 3. It wasn't, in the spirit of that negotiation, the expectation from Dunbarton was that we would use these unrestricted funds, essentially intangible things that they could see were actually being used, that they could see the benefit of the schools as opposed to just socking it away and not having any real immediate benefit. It's not part of the contract. That was the spirit of the discussions at the time. So I know last year we used these funds for outdoor Wi-Fi, for example. This year we're talking about bleachers. So the bleachers are $103,000, and $94,000 of that will be paid from those Dunbarton funds that we could use more or less on anything. The other funds are going to come, it's $8,000 approximately, that are come from the sports funds. So at the high school, kids get charged, so I think $100 a sport. That money accumulates, and we use the money from that to afford the other portion of the fees to the bleachers. Bleachers it's kind of simple. If you build it, they will come. We put the lights in, people came, and they said, why is there no place to sit? So we have current bleachers that seat 246 people. This would double that capacity, and it's not unusual on these Friday night lights games to have over 1,000 people there. So the bleachers would be used to allow people a place to sit. Is there any other slides on that? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would also like to invite anyone from the Budget Committee that would like to speak on this article.
Can I add one more thing? I apologize. This is Article 7 is my last one that I'm presenting. That's later on. That's about the Capital Reserve Fund. And we have had this on our Capital Reserve Fund as well, the CIP, our plan. We've been planning to have bleachers in at some point in time. We've just happened to have the ability to pay for it without going into the Capital Reserve Fund.
Thank you. See a voter here.
So I kind of second your motion. I would love to see the opinion for the Budget Committee because it's dramatically different than the school board. So no takers there on the Budget Committee to talk about this article?
Okay.
On the other hand, once again, thank you, Bryce, for your service. The other thing is you answered my question with regards to the capacity. If there's 1,000 people there and you got 200 and something seats, maybe it makes sense. So I was originally against it, but not so sure now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approaching the microphones, we'll take a vote on Article 4. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right. The ayes have it. This article passes. Article 5, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $50,000. Do I have a motion on Article 5?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. And Jenna will present Article 5.
So Bryce said that accepting Dunbarton funds is one of the easiest articles, but I think Article 5 is close. This is to accept $50,000 to be added to the athletic fields and facilities capital reserve fund. Next slide. Basically, athletes who want to participate in sports at Bow High School pay a fee. Currently, it's $100 per sport, $200 for hockey because of the added expense of renting ice time and whatnot, and then a $200 maximum per student. So if a student plays 3 sports, they really only pay for 2. But the money's collected and put into capital reserve fund that we use specifically for athletic fields, facility improvements, that kind of stuff. So this is just an article to ask if we can collect that money and put it into the capital reserve fund, and it currently has a balance of $161,390.
All right. Thank you. Article 5, I will now open to questions. Seeing no one approach the mic, we will take a vote on Article 5. All those in favor of Article 5? All those opposed? All right, Article 5 passes. Article 6, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $27,000 for the removal and replacement baseball and softball fields. Infields. Do I have a motion for Article 6?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Jenna will also present Article 6.
So this is basically to ask if we can take $27,000 out from the fund I just talked about, from the capital reserve fund I just talked about, to replace the infields and the baseball and softball fields. Can you go to the next slide, actually? We'll talk about it a little bit. But, oh, Connor, sorry, Connor. And it's basically to remove and replace the infields, regrade the infields, and then sod installation as needed. That's it.
Right. So I will now take questions for Article 6. Seeing no one approaching the microphone, we'll take a vote on Article 6. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, Article 6 passes. Article 7, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $700,000 to be added to the Bow School District, Bow Elementary, Bow Memorial School. Do I have a motion for Article 7?
I'll move.
Seconded.
All right, and Bryce will present Article 7.
All right, this is what I mentioned earlier about the capital improvement plan and setting aside $700,000 this year to go towards future different things that we need within the district, I guess. This reserve's been started back in 1992, and you can see the current balance is $2.2 million. So for the longest time, the board didn't have put money aside like we have been for the last few years. Actually, I was at this meeting, I want to say in 2021, where we walked away from that meeting feeling that the community wanted that. So starting in 2022, we made a concerted effort to go through everything we have in the entire school district, every building, all the grounds, everything we could think of. Nothing's too small, and we estimate out for 50 years of when everything's going to need to be replaced, what's it going to cost. Then we have put that, and we put essentially a spreadsheet by year, which establishes when each things we expect will need to be replaced. If we were to replace something this year, presumably it will need to be replaced sometime in the next 50 years, and we'll put it back on the spreadsheet, whenever that period of time is. And so we need to set aside money in order to plan for all those things. Our estimates were that if we set aside $1 million every year, we would have enough money that we will never, ever have to bond for anything at the high school. So we have a different slide, please. This one gives you a frame of reference of just how old these different facilities are. BMS is 60 years old, BES is 50 years old, and the high school is 25 years old, just as a frame of reference. For example, we're going to put our first new roof, if you guys approve of it, on the high school. It's been there for 25 years, needs a new roof. Things like that are on the list. It's available year-round. I think it's a couple hundred items. You can see exactly what we're planning for. You can see exactly what we're planning for next year. And it's a fluid document. We try to make it so if there are things that we need to replace, not necessarily this year, but in the next several years, we try to balance what projects we do when and where. So next slide, please. You can keep going. I just mentioned that. Yeah, that's what, so in 2023, we decided as a community to put away $1 million into this fund. We again did the same thing in 2024, and the first time you feel the tax impact from that is the first time, right? When we put the $1 million up, but the next year, when you maintain that at $1 million, we don't have a tax impact because it's the same amount of money. Last year, we went with $750,000, and we did that because the elementary school project that we had was significantly less expensive than we thought, so we were able to keep an additional $250,000 in that reserve. And so this year we're proposing $700,000. So that's a reduction. That would actually be a reduction on the overall tax impact by $50,000 compared to last year. And we're doing that primarily because we view this as just a really challenging year for the community and households and folks that are living in this community. I can say that the fund, it's at $700,000. If we were going to do that every year, it's unsustainable. It's not, we will run out of money in those funds within 10 or 15 years. But we thought for this year, it makes sense to do it that way, make it a little bit less just because it feels like relatively hard times for folks. Next slide. I mean, I think really that's about it.
All right, thank you. So now I will open questioning up to Article 7. I think I have a voter approaching this microphone.
Just me again. Judson Malone, 7 Oddly Divide. Bryce, you mentioned the excess or the extra leftover from the elementary school project is in the CRF. Is that the case?
No, I'm going to kick this over to Dwayne. If I said that, I misspoke. Dwayne can explain better what I'm.
So that project, if you'll remember, that project was a total appropriation of $12.9 million. 12.4 was the bond, and the voters authorized a potential withdrawal of up to $500,000 from the capital reserve fund. We had that earmarked for local contingency, for our own contingency, unexpected things like that. In one of the slides, Connor, if you go back one, no, one more, no, shoot. No, one more, go back another one. Is it in this one? Oh, maybe it's coming. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Jeez, that was awful. So we've done the final accounting for that project. We have 2 invoices that are still coming in, which is what that $48,070 is. Project's over. We're going to ask from the capital reserve a little bit less than $50,000. So the authorization of up to 500, we're going to basically take a little less than 50 of that. So that 450 that could have been part of that project is going to stay in the capital reserve fund.
So we have a bonus 450 in your base.
Correct, and we talked about it with the budget committee last year, and was kind of, we were planning, we were thinking how the project was going, although it wasn't done. And I think that was a big part of the discussion to reduce it to 750 last year, was we knew we weren't going to do the whole 500, but now we know what, that's kind of be finalized. So yeah, I think that was a big part. I think part of this discussion as well is going to be, as Bryce said, we would like to, the original plan was a certain deposit every year. And I think through the budget committee process, we've reduced that. And I hope we can work, collaboratively with them to try to get that back to where this becomes sustainable. I think one of the big things for us administratively and then through the board is I hope in my career that the last bond issue that we ever have to do in Bow, we've done. It's done. And that we can continue to do these bigger type projects on a pay-as-you-go basis, and this fund allows us to do that.
Thank you. A follow-up question or comment to that then is since we just authorized the $94,000 from the Dunbarton, that would have, see if I get this right, the bleachers were in the CIP. So we have just decided to pull that out and fund it a different way. So we now have an extra $94K in the CIP or in the CRF for that. Is that correct?
Dwayne, I don't remember how we ended up doing that.
No, I think that's an absolute way of looking at it for sure. I think the one thing that hasn't happened yet, but I think it's coming with a project that is going to be coming pretty soon, is we put some estimates into the capital improvement plan, and those are estimates, and sometimes they're way off in the future, and when we actually get pricing on that, it can be higher. And so I think some things come in lower, it's great. Some things can come in higher. Some things we remove altogether. There's some things that were on there that we did with grant funds that we removed. So I think Bryce said it right. It's a fluid document that we try to update pretty regularly. One of the best processes is the town CIP committee, We send our CIP through that group as well. They're very helpful. There's people on that CIP who know way more than I do about construction and how that industry works, and they're super helpful as well. So I think that document changes, a lot as we go forward.
Okay, and then just one last comment. Because of that, I'm just going to, in my own mind, I'm going to say we're putting 800,000 into the CIP when we vote for 700. Just because, right? It's like having an extra 100,000 in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Voter at this microphone.
Yeah, Brian Beach, 4 Pinecrest Drive. Mr. Ford, do you happen to know what the interest is on that account since inception?
I don't know since its inception. All of our capital reserve funds have to be under the authority of the trustees of the trust fund with the town. So they're the ones who invest, all of that money, and they take care of that.
Okay.
I think they have a report. They do a report for the town report. There's a trustees report in there. But I don't know what the interest rate is. It's not something that we invest that money. The trustees do.
Okay, but it's fair to say that that money is accruing interest in an account somewhere. So the money that we're saving now is actually kind of snowballing?
Correct. And the trustees have an obligation under the statute to invest it in such a way that it's going to protect the principal. It has to be very secure because it's municipal money. So they do a great job. And yeah, it earns something.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approaching the microphone, we can take a vote on Article 7. Article 7. All those in favor of Article 7? All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Article 7 passes. Moving to Article 8. See if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for recabling. Do I have a motion for Article 8?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Beat me to it. Presented by Melanie.
Hello, everyone. So this is an interesting opportunity for us here. There is this grant that we can take advantage of. Well, it's not a grant, it's federally rate funding, but essentially they're going to pay half of this. Now, some of you guys might be wondering why it's important to do this rewiring. And it's because inside of our schools right now, the speed of the internet is about 10 gigs outside in between the schools. But within the schools, it's about 1 gig. So by rewiring this, and I know you might be thinking like, oh, that sounds like a lot. But I'm going to give a little bit more context. So if we do this rewiring, we're making it so that our schools are not just good for the way technology is now, it's also for the future. So we're trying to be very cognizant of we don't want to do this again for quite a while. It will make our speed of the internet 4 times faster. So we will have 40 gigs going between the buildings, but then we also will have 40 gigs inside of the buildings. So now you're thinking, why do you need that much stuff? And I would agree, except I want you to take a second and think about your house. I don't know about you, but now everything you buy is wireless. Your HVAC is wireless, the heating, right? All of that stuff. You go somewhere else, you can shut it off from far away, you can turn it on, all that, it's great. Our food service, so we also have the same issue in our schools. Those things take up speed, take up space. Our food service, the point of sale, everything's wireless, right? So when you think our tech labs, 25 computers that are, good computers, they need to move fast. That's what they're learning on. That takes up a lot. So this isn't really a want. It really isn't. I know some people might think it is. It's a need. We have to. Right now, we're not seeing things stop working, but we're going to very quickly, because as we know, as technology gets better, it kind of needs more, right? So one thing about this is a lot of this hasn't been done since 1997. And I got to tell you, that was great internet, right, in 1997? Anybody with me?
No.
So,
It wasn't too good.
so I think that some things have changed, and we might want to have better technology than 1997 for our computers. So, with that being said, you can see it. This is going to be really great. There's another part of this, which is also the phone system. So right now, we have VIA as the phone system that we have. We're going to a voice over IP, which is more reliable, and it has better features for like web interface, conference calls, a bunch of things that you just need running businesses. The problem with who we have now, VIA, is it's older. We can only buy their phones, which they take full advantage of, right? If you have no competition, you can charge whatever you want. If we go this other way, we can buy ones that are cheaper, fit our needs. It's just a smarter move. And I think that covers really all of this tech stuff. So,
Thank you. So now I'll open questioning to Article 8. We have a voter right here.
Van Mosher, 99 Allen Road. I like the conversation there, cheaper opportunities in the future, but I want to give an opportunity to the student representatives and see what they think about the 40 gigs of speed.
I think it'll be beneficial. We'll be appreciative of it. Also, some of the computers, it's hard with some assignments. Sometimes it doesn't load, so this will speed up and make it easier for the teachers and streamline our lessons.
There you go.
Yeah, like even like in the workshop area, like the engineering classroom, where it's the computers are connected by Ethernet, like it's still not that fast. Like when you have to connect to like Google Classroom, it takes a moderate amount of time.
I really appreciate your perspective.
Thank you. A voter over here.
Shannon Rhodes, 28 Bellevue Drive. I do have a quick question. You kind of mentioned the phone system and moving to voice over IP. In that budget line, when you move over to like a voice over IP, the phones actually go away. Do we have that in the budget line of like having a physical phone on your desk is no longer needed?
if it's okay, I'm going to let Dwayne, I'm going to be honest. Or should we have Chris do it? Chris is our tech guy.
Chris Vos is in charge of technology for the district.
I've been here almost 30 years. I still don't know how to transfer somebody. So, I mean, I think I'm the worst person.
So with the new voice over IP system, we could do soft phones, which would be, at your desk with a headset, or we could do your regular traditional phones that are mounted on the wall.
Okay, because we wouldn't have the ability to just have it on our computers, where we don't have to maintain a physical phone.
You could have that option.
Is that in this budget, or are we still budgeting for physical phones on everybody's desk?
It's not in this budget, but if we recable the district and we bring network drops down into each classroom, then we can get rid of the current Avaya system. We pay approximately $40,000 per year. That's based on a per extension fee. If we go to this other VoIP system, which I've implemented, I implemented it at Merrimack Valley. It's a per minute cost. And as you can imagine, our minutes here at Bow are fairly low. So that represents a cost savings of $36,000 per year.
Okay, great. So safe to
So-
say if we do this,
Yeah.
there's future savings that open up greatly.
Yeah, the project pays for itself in like 3 years.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. I have a voter right over here.
Hi, Daniel Perinas, 5 Sullivan. Sorry, tech guy, I forget your name, but
That's Chris.
Chris.
You know what? To be honest, I did make the mistake of not introducing Chris, so I'm apologizing, Chris. I'm sorry. It's on
yeah,
me.
first a point of clarification. So the phones that we have, those are actually on old-style cable?
Some of them are voice over IP. It's kind of a hybrid system.
Okay, so we're actually currently using voice over IP. It's not that this would be a whole brand-new thing that we have access to.
Right, we'd be cutting over the whole district. It'd be a one consistent model.
Okay.
Our phone system now is basically end of life. We have a variety of traditional-based POTS lines. We have some voice over IP, but basically it's an old on-site, on-premise system. It's very old. It's end of life.
Okay.
When we go to a VoIP system, it's going to be all in the cloud. All the phones will connect to that infrastructure in the cloud. We won't have to maintain that hardware on site.
Okay. So we
yeah.
currently have a VoIP system, but it's hardware-based, and we want to do a SaaS solution.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's Avaya's solution currently.
Yeah.
And that's just for phones, but we're talking about recabling totally.
Right.
Have we already had an assessment from a vendor?
In regards to the cabling or
Yes,
phones?
the cabling.
Yes, we have.
All right, who's that vendor?
Arcom and New England Communication.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Arcom and New England Communication. Okay, and what's the back end? There's going to be fiber into the building, new fiber?
So we currently have fiber in between all the buildings. They're 10 gig uplinks. We would upgrade those to 40 gig uplinks. That represents kind of a bottleneck right now between buildings. All the buildings come back here. They terminate here. All the routing is at the high school. That's where our two internet service providers come in. That's our DMARC. So it's beneficial if we upgrade those inter-building links so that we don't have those bottlenecks.
Okay.
Also, like all of our data closets, you can think of them as the arms of the building, are at 1 gig. We want to upgrade those to 10 gigs so that the internet is distributed evenly.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Yep.
And then one last point of clarification. So, okay, I see that we're upgrading everything to Cat 6. Are we getting new routers with that as well, Wi-Fi routers? Or is that just an idea of, oh, then we could do that?
Actually, our Wi-Fi is in pretty good shape, so we're good from that perspective. I think, like I said, where we're limited is the actual wired backhaul to those devices.
All right, and I actually want to redirect that question to the kids that are here. How's our Wi-Fi in the buildings? Do we have blind spots?
Yeah, sometimes it does take a while, but I'm thinking that's more of a Chromebook end issue. Because it's just with every Chromebook, it just takes like a good 10 to 30 seconds to connect. But outside of that, not really. I mean, I don't think you have anything to say.
There's certain wings that are better than others. Sometimes, yeah.
Certain rooms that are better than others?
Cafeteria. Yeah.
I imagine that there's a lot of concrete that
Voters can
blocks
need to
signal.
wait over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, students, and Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you. We have a voter over here.
Hi, you remember me? Alexandra Fuller, 4 Courier Drive, and about this whole voiceover thing, I think it's a bit ableist. Because, what if someone can't talk?
Okay, do you have do you have another solution or, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm really wondering what your thoughts are.
What if you have what if someone just couldn't talk? They're mute or they have a speech disorder or something, or they're nonverbal.
Let's keep it to the amount on the article. Article 8
Well, I
is
heard-
$200,000.
I heard like the voiceover with the phone thing.
So are you suggesting that we maybe invest in getting some phones for people? Oh, and here we go, student services.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, okay, that's why I was asking. That's definitely something I think Chris could look into.
Sorry, are you?
Laryngitis is a thing too, so if someone's like resting their voice.
We're gonna focus on Article 8, the $200,000.
Which comes out of the capital reserve fund.
Right. So we're going to switch over to this microphone now for a follow-up question.
Chris Thompson, 186 Woodhill, Hooksett Road. My question is just about what we're paying for from the ISP. Are we projecting we're going to have to upgrade that service?
We've actually looked at that. And for now, I don't mean to speak for you, Chris, but for now, our bandwidth is sufficient.
Thank you.
Thank you. Voter approaching this microphone.
Penny Conway, 12 Foot Road. Just a quick question. Thanks for the cost saving, the $36,000 on the phone side. Is there any increase that we might see next year in actual internet usage or speed or anything like that with the better cabling, higher speed between schools?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think definitely we'll see a lot more consistent, higher use of the total bandwidth. Right now, you can kind of see that we cap out kind of at like that 400 meg level. And I think from what we've been able to see on our internal, our core network, is that the bottlenecks exist in those data closets that are providing internet to those wireless access points. So as soon as we free up that bandwidth, we're going to be able to take advantage of the full 1 gig pipe that we have coming in here.
Right, so costs will stay the same, costs will increase?
Yeah, costs will stay the same.
Okay.
We're in a 3-year contract right now.
Excellent, thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Voter at this microphone.
Hi, Jester O'Shea, 193 Page Road. Can we call to question?
I have a motion to call question. Second. All right, so let's now vote on Article 8. All those in favor of Article 8? All those opposed? Article 8 passes. Moving on to Article 9, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $36,000. Do I have a motion on Article 9?
I'd like to make that motion.
Right, do I have a second?
Second.
And Melanie will present Article 9.
Okay, so first, thank you. For those of you that really understand computers and everything, that was my gift to you. Now, for everybody else that was completely lost, I've got something for you too. So here we go. We're going to be getting new cleaning supplies. So these are part of the CIP. Are all 3 buildings. The machines that we have for cleaning the floors and everything are from, BHS is from 1997. And then BMS is like the early 2000s, same with BES. So, as you know, if you had a vacuum cleaner that old, you're going to be needing to fix them a lot. And we have been fixing them all this time. But now we're getting to a point where they no longer make the parts for that. So, and they probably don't work as good as they could. So, we're asking for you guys to let us take money out of the CIP so that we can buy these things.
All right, Article 9, I will open questions to Article 9. See a voter approaching the microphone.
Just a quick question. Are these little scrubbers like little miniature Zambonis?
I'm sorry. little miniature,
The scrubbers, the little miniature Zambonis, where the water is collected up, and those are very efficient. Yes? Thank you.
yes, there.
Thank you. All right.
Apparently, see, I have something for everybody.
Okay, seeing no one approaching the microphones, we'll now take a vote on Article 9. All those in favor of Article 9? All those opposed? All right, Article 9 passes.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Ian Flanagan, 6 Fieldstone Drive. I'd like to make a motion to combine Articles 10 and 11, seeing as they both are PA systems within the schools.
Motion to combine Articles 10 and 11. Do I have a second for that motion? A second. All those in favor of combining Articles 10 and 11? All right. We're going to combine 10 and 11. So we'll start with 10, and then I'll also review 11. You guys can talk about both? Okay. So Article 10, do I have a motion for Article 10 and 11? We're good. So Article 10 starts with to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $102,881 for the replacement of PA systems. And Article 11 is to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $112,997 to replace PA systems. And it looks like Ava and Matthew are going to present these. So
Thank you very much for taking those off our hands. Now we can do them together.
So hold on, we have to make a motion.
Yep. Do we have a motion for Article 10 and Article 11?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Articles 10 and 11.
I believe, yeah. We need a
I'll make the motion.
motion.
I'll second.
There we go. All right, we're good. We're off and running. All right, take it away.
So in both of these instances, the PA systems for both of the schools are outdated, and so the communication could be brought up to date in comparison to what's available now. And so in both of these PA systems, there'd be less disruption to learning with the more efficient communication.
Yeah, so the high school PA system was from the start of the high school in 1997, and even like Mr. Ford didn't know when the middle school PA system was. It's that old. So, yeah. Another issue with the high schools is that basically the way that the high school's PA system works by each room is connected with like a telephone on a hook. And the issue is there's like a safety issue with that. As you can see up there, there's like a lot of emergencies that might happen. And so it just causes a safety issue. If you take off the telephone off of the hook, it disconnects the room from the PA system. And so if a room got disconnected, it would be disconnected from like any important alerts. So that's another reason why they have to be replaced. Yeah, do you have anything else to say? No. Okay, we're good for questions.
Thank you, guys. All right, I'll open questions up to Article 10 and Article 11. Seeing no one approaching the microphones, we are going to vote on Article 10 and Article 11. Though all those in favor of Article 10 and 11? All those opposed? Article 10 and 11 passes. All right, Article 12. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $700,000.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and Jenna will present Article 12.
You can go to the next slide, but basically, we are asking for $700,000 from, to replace the roof. It's going to be at the high school. It's still the original roof from when it was built in 1997. It had a 20-year warranty, so we've made it 27, 28 years, which is pretty good. and the warranty expired in 2018. So I think it's been a great roof. It's starting to have some problems. It needs to be replaced. The $700,000 is going to be a two-phase project. The first phase will be the flat part of the roof, and that's what we're asking for the $700,000 for today. The second part will be in our CIP plan for next year, and that'll be to replace the gymnasium roof, which is more slanted. We're asking for a breakdown of the funds, and you can go to the next slide. I think it talks about it, yeah. So Bryce had talked a little bit about the Dunbarton Capital Improvement Fund with the restricted funds that we've never been able to use, but this is a project that's over $500,000 with a life expectancy of over 15 years. So we're gonna use what we can, which is a percentage of the Dunbarton students, and that'll be $181,790 from that. And then the rest of the money, the $518,210 will come from our capital reserve fund. That's it.
All right, thank you. And I'll open questioning to Article 12.
Yeah.
I have a voter approaching the microphone for Article 12.
Hi, Daniel Brenes, 5 Sullivan. Can anybody recall when the roof in the high school started leaking? It's been an issue ever since I've lived here.
It's
periodic.
Yeah, it's periodic, and we've patched parts, if I'm correct, right, Dwayne? You can answer.
I mean, I feel like this is one project that maybe should have came before the voters a couple of years ago, if I'm being honest, but we've had some issues in certain areas. There's a leak, a persistent leak that we've just had trouble patching and finding in the 2300 wing. We did some pretty significant repairs to the band roof. That was not in great shape, so we did some repairs there. We had a couple issues with the gym roof that seem to have corrected themselves with some work that we've done. But yeah, it's it's a large area up there. I think it's served us well, but it definitely needs to be replaced.
Thank you. Now, I'm mostly interested in that. Thank you for sharing that the warranty ran out in 2018. I was just wondering if we had discovered a leak before that, or if it just started leaking as soon as the warranty ran out, as these things sometimes happen, right? So I'm mostly just thinking, how do we protect, even a 20-year warranty doesn't sit that comfortably. Right. Now, obviously, this is an industrial, type of facility. It's not like a home roof, right? We're now starting to see 50 years and more. But I'm just wondering, how can we protect ourselves over the next 20 years? So that's mostly what I'm thinking about.
And if you go to the next slide, it's not really going to answer your question, but it does talk about what we are doing, which is, again, another 20-year roof warranty, which made me think about what you just said. So it is not extending a warranty to a longer time.
Okay. Is there, maybe if you guys don't mind, is there anybody here that remembers when it started leaking? Was there any word of this before 2018?
We're gonna focus comments over here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other voters approaching the microphones, we're going to take a vote on Article 12. All those in favor of Article 12? All those opposed? Article 12 passes.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Ian Flanagan, Fieldstone Drive. I'd like to make a motion to combine Articles 13 and 14 having to do with open enrollment, since zero in, zero out, $0.
I have a motion to combine Articles 13 and 14. Do I, second? Second? Okay. We will now combine Articles 13 and 14. Thank you. All those in favor of combining Articles 13 and 14? All those opposed? All right. We will now combine Articles 13 and 14. Article 13 and 14, do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second? All right.
I'll second.
Angela will present Article 13 and 14.
Okay, we're combining these two articles together tonight. We're talking about open enrollment. If you go to the next slide, you can see the history here in New Hampshire of open enrollment. The current law that was passed of the as part of the charter school creation in 1995. In 2009, open enrollment separated from the charter school statute and became its own law. In 2015 was the first time this was acted on, when Franklin adopted open enrollment when Hill High School left their tuition agreement from the high school. We didn't see any other action in open enrollment in the state until 2023, when Prospect Mountain adopted open enrollment. And then in 2024, the New Hampshire State Board of Education made a ruling, and the Supreme Court upheld that ruling, saying that all school districts are obligated to pay open enrollment costs, even if there was no open enrollment to voters. So we're bringing this article in front of you now to do just that. You can go to the next slide. What the current law says is the district must adopt an open enrollment and vote to accept a percentage of students both in and a percentage of students that can be sent to other open enrollment schools. Parents can then choose to send your child to an open enrollment school if there is open enrollment schools approved. The resident district, in this case, would be obligated to pay 80% of their cost to the other school district the parent had elected to send the student to. In our case in Bow, that means this district would be required to pay at least $15,000 minimum. In addition to that, if there are any special education costs within the resident district, we would be responsible for that cost. And there is no limit on what those special education costs could be to the sending district. Prior to our vote tonight, there are two open enrollment schools that had votes, Franklin High School and Prospect Mountain, as I said before, that were open enrollment schools. If you go to the next slide. What does this do for us tonight? This allows the Bow School District, all three schools, to become open enrollment schools, but it would limit the number of residents, students that can leave the district to 0. So we would say no students can leave and attend any open enrollment school. This provides us protection so that we don't have any unbudgeted expenses to pay open enrollment to schools. It also eliminates the potential special education cost to our district, since we would still be responsible for paying all of those costs to the other district the student is enrolled in. This also creates time for us to plan on potentially accepting or sending students in the future. Go to the next slide. What this looks like, this has really been shifting landscape. We did have an open enrollment meeting. Marcy has sent out a video kind of explaining what has brought us here. In March, we voted, Kearsarge High School voted to accept students in, send 0 out. Pembroke Academy has voted to accept students but not send any out. We don't know about Concord School District. Prospect Mountain has voted, and they will be a remote school option in place, and they also voted to accept students but send 0 students out. What we don't know about open enrollment, currently there is a potential state-imposed universal enrollment that means all schools would need to be universally enrolled. That would change our landscape for us if that passes, but what we're trying to do right now is to limit what we're able to do under the current open enrollment laws. Go to the next slide. So this article is going to say that we want to be approved to be an open enrollment school, send 0 students out, and if we combine Article 14, you can go to that one. Essentially, what this does is appropriate $0 so that we are not allowed to spend any money in both school district to send students to other open enrollment schools. If we were challenged, if the district was challenged to pay for that, there's no voter-approved funding to pay that invoice.
Thank you. And seeing no voters approach the microphone, we are now going to move to vote on Articles 13 and 14. All those in favor of Articles 13 and 14? All those opposed? Articles 13 and 14 pass. And now, I move to end the 2020.
Wait.
Oh. Yes, I'm sorry.
Isn't there one more thing on here? To transact any other business?
Yes, if there's any other business, thank you.
Sandra Fontana, Marion's Way. One of the school board's members mentioned that there was surplus funds last year that was returned or not used. Is that correct? I think,
Every year there is.
what becomes of that money?
It goes back to the town, and then
Okay.
it's a credit.
Is there a policy in place to reimburse educators who pay out of their own pocket for legitimate expenses?
There is not.
Should there be?
Something I guess the board, which I won't be on, can consider during the next year.
And that would be an option for a petitioned article for the future, too.
Another thing too is I don't work in this town. Obviously, I can't be on the school board and work for the town.
Right.
So, I mean, we would have to check with our staff, but I hope none of them are using their own money.
I would not be surprised if they are. I
If
have
we can
educators in my
please just
family.
keep it down.
I have educators in my family, so I know that's a situation that does exist, probably nationwide. But if you're expending money out of your own pocket, whoever you may be as an educator, it's not right. And I urge the school board to consider a policy in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I move to end the,
Wait, one second. I'm sorry, I can comment to that. Sarah Winter, 33 Putney Road. I'm the secretary for the PTO. The PTO has funds for all of the teachers and the staff that work in the school. I'm not sure about paras, but we, each teacher gets at least, I think it's between $100 and $150 that they can be reimbursed for, and they can apply for a reimbursement, and the PTO will reimburse them for things that they purchase.
thank you. All right, now officially move to end 2026 Bow School District Annual Meeting. Thank you all so much.